All right, it's 7:01. I think that's more than enough time to wait. Here's what we're doing tonight. If you guys tuned in for the first live stream that I did, we did a hashtag 15-second fish catch vid. And the problems I found with it is when I actually reviewed it, I was using an old webcam, and it wasn't very clear. And I maybe went through the process a little too in depth, but at the same time, for me, I learn a lot by repeating things because I don't pick them up the first time, especially stuff that I'm just trying to learn. I need to have a routine and do it like routinely over and over again until it kind of becomes second nature. So I figured this would be kind of a win-win on a twofold level. One, we can go back through and we can do another 15-second fish vid catch. I can show you some basic editing principles when it comes to those 15-second vids. And we can do some basic editing, and it's stuff that you can do. We're going to be using Sony Vegas right here. However, the basic principles we're using, which is probably going to be brightness and contrast, color corrector. We're going to do some slow motion and some fast motion, some speeding up a video. And we'll probably throw in like a little like black and white or desaturating colors. And those kinds of features, I don't care if you're using Sony, if you're using Adobe, if you're using Final Cut, even on some of the basic editors like iMovie. I'm not sure if Windows Live Movie Maker does it, but Power Director, all those editors have those kinds of functions. They might call them something slightly different, but the principle is about the same. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing tonight. Hopefully it'll take about an hour and 15 minutes, and we'll have an edited product. We'll put it up afterwards on YouTube so you can see kind of the process and then the final result, which will be the 15-second fish catch vid. So I like being on time. It's 7:03, so we are going to get rolling. Like I said, if you guys don't mind, those of you that are in the room, can you just let me know if you can hear me clearly, if you're getting a good visual, if everything's flowing. Once I get that green light from you, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move forward. But just give me a thumbs up or pop something in the comments box and let me know that everything is cool and you can hear me and you can see and we're ready to roll. While I'm waiting on somebody to throw a comment in the box, I'm going to go ahead and boot up Sony Vegas. Yeah? I hear you fine. I tell you, awesome. All right, so we got the green light. Thanks for your responsiveness. One FYI, as we go through the process, one thing I learned from my first live stream is there is a slight delay between me talking and you guys receiving. So if you have any questions as we go through the process, I'm going to try to be as depictive as possible as to what I'm doing. I'm also going to be doing this, and if you guys watch for a second, I'm going to be sharing my screen. So you're actually going to be seeing exactly what I'm doing as we go through the process. So if you guys have any questions or anything along those lines as we go, pop them in the comment box. I'll try to keep my kind of like right eye attached to the comment box and respond to those questions. If it is something that maybe doesn't apply to like the very moment and it's a bigger question about editing and that, the only thing I ask is that you save those questions for the end and maybe write them down, and then we'll go through any kind of questions that you have about the general process in the end. But let's try to stay focused and try to stay subject-oriented and on point with this because it can vary. Sometimes these take 2 hours. Sometimes they take an hour. You know, if they're really simple, they might take half an hour. It really depends what kind of level of complexity we get in, but I'm going to try to keep it pretty simple and but at the same time pretty cool because there's no point in just showing basic crap. You know, we got to push a little bit and do some stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We'll be going back and forth like this throughout the process. I'll be hopping back. You got to stare at my ugly mug for a bit, and you'll stare at the screen. But this share screen function is really great because you can actually track the process. So to get started, it's one thing you're not going to be able to see. What I've done, well, just as a what do you call that, a disclaimer, I have not pre-edited this. I haven't done any work on these videos. These videos, I grabbed a set of videos relating to one fish catch, and like 4 music tracks. And basically, we're going to take those and see where they go. This could be an absolute fail. This could turn out awesome. It could turn out mediocre. I thought it'd be more realistic. You know, I'm all about doing the real thing and like having the real experience of it. So I figured it'd be more realistic and it'd be a better example of the process if we actually go through it raw together. And what I'm saying is basically, I have this footage. I haven't worked with it. So we're going to work with it right now together. I'm going to work with it. You're going to watch, but in a sense, it'll be a somewhat collaborative process. And we'll see what happens. Like I said, we might fail miserably. We might come out with something really cool, but that's a part of the fun deal and part of the process. So I got my videos and some music tracks collected right here. And I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. Like I said, any questions, guys, pop them in the right-hand column, or I don't know where it appears for you, but in the comments column. So let's go ahead and get the screen shared. How am I streaming? Real quick, YouTube has a streaming function now. You have to enable it. It's really cool. It kind of is a very real-time, collaborative approach to things, and it has a lot of interesting functionality. I actually did some university school stuff online, and it's very much like an interactive classroom where you can share your screen like I'm doing right now. You have audio. There's a few other functions that are available, but for what we're doing tonight, it's just going to be webcam, audio, and screen share. All right, so you guys can now see Sony Vegas. It's right out in front of you. I'm going to stretch it out just a hair more. So this is what a basic nonlinear editor will look like. The first thing that I'm going to do, and it's the most important thing, especially for me right now, since I'm in Florida and we have some rolling storms that go through and knock out power continually, is I'm going to be putting an hour's worth of work on here. So I want to make sure that things are saved. So we're going to go ahead and save this project right off the bat, and we're going to call it 15 seconds demo. And that way I know my project is saved. I'm going to save it continually as I go through the process of creating it. And that just ensures that I don't lose the work that I put time into doing. So the first step that I'm going to go through, like I mentioned, let me drag this over so you guys can take a look. I've gone ahead and I've collected, these are all camera angles on one fish catch. This is, the first one I did was on a flipping fish from the Everglades. This is also a flipping fish from the Everglades, a 7-pounder that me and Donnie Bass caught while we were out there. And I have run 3 video cameras. As you can see, this one is kind of like a chest perspective. This is like off the gunnel. And then this one, which you can't see a preview of, is from the back of the boat. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to take those tracks and I'm going to stack them into Sony. Now, it's going to ask me if I want to set my project settings to the video. I'm going to say no, because basically when you're creating, at least this is my approach, when you're creating these 15-second Instagram videos, so Instagram cuts like a square that looks somewhat like this preview. It crops it out of whatever video that you upload to it. So I'm going to leave my settings for the entire project at 1920 by 1080. That's basically like a 1080 HD TV size. And then when I actually get this onto Instagram, the cropping mechanism on Instagram is going to crop this square out. So I won't have any loss. I won't see any of this black stuff. It'll actually crop it right about here. But I'm going to just retain that size of the video, because in the end, it's going to end up square like that anyways. And this allows me to control it a little better. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get the rest of my tracks laid out here. Now, basically, in a nonlinear editor, your videos stack up on top of each other. And that way you can edit them, layer them, and do stuff all at one moment, because you never know how many kind of things you want layered on top of each other. And that's why it's called non-linear. If it was linear, everything would be lined up and it'd be a very 1, 2, 3, 4 clip process. In this sense, non-linear means that everything can happen at the same time. So I have all my tracks. Now, the first thing that I really want to kind of set up is I have a 15-second limit when it comes to Instagram videos. So one thing I like to do is I'm going to go ahead and this is the time mark for 15 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set up a marker so that I know that's where I need to end the video. That's where it needs to stop. I'm also going to go ahead and cut these clips down so we can kind of get to work. These are 9, 16, some of them 18-minute clips. What I want to do is I want to find the action portion of the clip. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to scan through this stuff and find basically where the fish starts to bite. That looks like a pitch. Almost there. Oh, yeah. You know when Donnie ducks, it means that we've set the hook. Another really good way to tell, this is the soundtrack of the video that I'm working with, and even though I don't have a skeleton case on that camera, you can see that there's a big bump in the audio right here. Usually that indicates a lot of movement or thunks in the boat, and oftentimes you can use that as an indication that, yeah, something happened there, some kind of action went down there. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring it back a little. I'm going to cut that video right there and delete the front part and drag it all the way back. It's still quite a ways long, but it gives me a start on what I'm working with and what I'm trying to cut down to. I'm going to go through this process and cut all of these down to about like the hook set portion. I got overshot there. All right, that one's good. We're going to do the same process. We're going to delete that stuff early. Donnie's pointing at fish. Same there. Drag that over. All right, one thing I'm going to do really quick is, so I have 3 videos, or 3 video angles. This one, and this one. Now, of those 3, I only have real audio, and when I say real audio, basically I have a skeleton case on one of those cameras, so the only real audio pickup that's actually going to hear what it sounds like to be there in the blades, pitch and pads, is this guy right here. So I don't want this audio or this audio, so I'm going to go ahead and mute them. I'm also going to minimize them because I don't want to stare at them and I don't want them to take up space. So we're starting to get a little more streamlined here. Let's see if we can cut these down just a hair more and get to a point where we can actually start working on some content here. Looks like that one's good. Let's see if this one can be cut down just a little bit more. Yeah, that one's pretty close. I think we're going to cut it right about there. Just drag it over and shift it. Good deal. And let's check this guy right here. So basically, we're just looking to further cut down the videos because in the end, our end product can only be 15 seconds long. So I want to make things simple because that's the easiest way to do this. Otherwise, you run into too many factors. It looks like that's a good place to start cutting. So basically, what we just did right here is we went through our videos and we chopped them down to the good stuff. We chopped them down to the meat that we actually want to work with. So I'm feeling pretty good about where we are now there. One thing I did want to throw into the mix, I don't know if it's going to work, but I have a real cool kind of like stock shot of where we were fishing out of was Holiday Park. It's out in the Everglades, and there are airboat tours out there. And I have a cool stock shot. You can see it right here of some airboats lined up in that. And I kind of wanted to take and maybe do a quick cut of that at the beginning of the video. I thought it'd be kind of something different. And so something, I don't know, we'll see if it works. It might not work. If it doesn't work, we'll delete it. Here's the other deal too. You'll see I just dropped the video track in, but what you're seeing on top of that track is this, which is this video track right here. In a nonlinear editor, one rule that you always need to keep in mind is whatever's on top rules, unless it's muted or deleted, or you bring down the opacity, which is how much you can see through it. So basically, since I know I kind of want to start the video with this track right here, with this little stock shot of Holiday Park, I'm going to drag the track all the way to the top, and you can see now it shows up no matter where we're looking right here. I also don't want the audio in this, so I'm going to do the same thing I did for the other videos where I really don't want their audio. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mute it, and then I'm going to minimize that track so it's not interfering with what we're doing. So let's start with just kind of taking a look at this stock shot video and seeing what I want to pull off of it. And I think it's something like right here. I just want maybe like a 1 or 2 second pan, which is kind of like a swing of the camera. Just something like that. Like a little cut. There we go. I think that's all I want from there. Yeah, that's definitely all. This is all. Good deal. So we're gonna delete that. So basically, it's something, you know, just something a little different. The first one we did was all fishing stuff, and I wanted to blend like just a little stock shot in there. All right, so I think we have all our clips arranged. One thing that I like to do to stay organized is I like to get, with these 15-second Instagram videos, I like to get everything in there that I'm going to use. So right now we have this stock shot, we have a camera angle, another camera angle, and another camera angle of the fish catch. So this is all the footage that I'm going to use. Now the one thing that we're missing, we do have audio off of this video right here, which is the back pole video. You can see the audio right here. You can take a listen to it real quick. It's pretty quiet. It's kind of there though. So that's the audio that we have. I want to integrate just a short kind of sample soundtrack off of it. I don't know if it's going to be real prominent or if it's going to be kind of like a background thing. Now, I went, and like I said, I didn't do any work beforehand, but what I did do is I collected some audio tracks that might fit in, and we're going to use one of them. I don't know which one. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to listen to the array of audio that I grabbed, and let's see what we want to go with. It's kind of a fun beat. I think it's a little slow though. That one has possibility. Let me try this last one. And I think that's the one we're going to go with. All right, these are all kind of hip-hop beats. I kind of like this Not For Nothing. You know what? This is going to be just like the last video we did. I used an audio track, and halfway through I deleted it and we started over. So this is a process. Like I said, I don't know where it's going to go. We're going to start with this audio and see where it goes. All right, so this is now our audio track right down here. You can see all the bumps in the audio. One thing that I'm going to do right off the bat is I'm going to bring the gain down just a hair. I make it like a best practices, or like a, when it comes to audio, I'm not very good, but one thing that I do no matter what is if I ever see my bumps or my audio waves popping all the way to the top of the track, it means it'll kind of blow out speakers a little bit. So you just want to drag it down. There's different ways to do this. On Vegas, you have a control bar right here. There's also ways to do it using right-click functions. I believe in Adobe Premiere, you also have an effects panel where you can turn the volume down a little bit. But I'm gonna just do it that way. It's nice and simple. One thing I did notice is that the track is a little slow to get started, and this is our cutoff point right here. That's 15 seconds. I don't know if the track is gonna roll fast enough for the actual video content that we have. So let's go ahead and take a listen real quick. All right, I think what we're gonna do is, if I'm right, I can cut like right about here and it won't screw up the beat, but let's listen. All right, I missed it there. Yeah, I can definitely cut it right there. So we're gonna cut that just to kind of speed up the process of the beat. I'm also gonna just shorten that up just a little bit, and I'm going to save because we have everything laid out, and I don't want to lose what we've done thus far. So I think beat-wise, we're good to go. We have all the footage that we want to work with all set up to go. I think we're gonna go ahead and take a look at what we got, and get the process rolling. So right here we have our little stock shot. So that's going to be how we kind of do our intro and our start off. So I'm actually going to take all these video angles and drag them over because they're not going to show up, because whatever's on top always rules. So if I leave them under this track, you can see right here, see the preview? That's our cut shot. Now if I slide this video track over, what do you still see? You still see that cut shot that's on top because the top rules. Now, if I were to mute that track and make it disappear, the default is whatever is below it. So that kind of gives you an idea. Always when you're using a nonlinear editor, whatever's on top rules. All right, so let's take a look at our little intro deal and see what it looks like. That's pretty cool, and I think what we want to do is we want to sync this. It looks like there's a drop beat right here. Boom, right there. Okay, so right on this drop beat is where I want my first cut to happen. So I'm actually going to go up to this little stock shot, and I'm going to shorten it up. I've lined up where that beat starts. I'm going to line it up right there, and now you'll be able to see exactly what happens. So yeah, that's kind of cool, actually. Maybe we'll leave that little black spot there. That's kind of fun. That's cool. See, the most beautiful part about editing is accidents are oftentimes the coolest stuff that you can make, man. Like, it's so funny because you start getting so into things and doing them so perfectly that you make like a stupid mistake, and oftentimes that mistake is 40 times better than the stuff you're actually trying to do. That's why the process is fun, man. All right, so we got our intro shot. We got our beat lined up. I like where we're at. Let's see where we want to start this off at. I think I'm actually going to go with this second video track right here to get things rolling. Let me take a sip of tea. All right, so drop beat, and we're fishing. We got the pitch of the bait. We're taking up way too much time. All right, so we need to adjust how fast things happen here because it's not happening fast enough. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to find about where that put set starts by scanning, scanning, scanning. There it is. Move back just a little. All right, see how the arms move up? I'm going to use that as my point where I'm going to kill this video and oops. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to speed that whole section up. In Vegas, if you hit Control and drag the clip, it will speed up the clip. It will fast forward it. If you're using Adobe Premiere, usually what you need to do is you need to right-click it. In Final Cut, it is like a right-click or a control function on the video effects. All right. So let's just take a look real quick. This is what's called a RAM render. Basically, what it's doing is it's using the RAM of my computer to kind of give me an idea of what the video will actually look like when you render it. That was pretty cool, wasn't it? I think what we're actually going to do, we're going to make that just a hair longer. Actually, that's not going to work. Yeah, no. I wonder if... Oh. Yeah, let's see. That'll make it just a hair longer. It can't be too long, though. All right, let's take a look at that and see what it looks like. That's cool. All right, so I like where that's at. I'm going to delete this other stuff because we're not going to use it right there. And I'm going to drag my tracks over so that everything's lined up from a time signature standpoint. And I think what we might be able to do here, let's just take a look at what this looks like when we incorporate the cut to another video shot. I don't know if I like that too much. I think, oh, that might have something to do with it. All right, I'm getting the impression that like it's not synced very perfectly, so I'm gonna go ahead and just, there we go. I think I want when it cuts, I want like a brief pause, but I want it to cut right to the hook set. Like right, let's try that. There's gonna be like a brief little pause. All right, let's take a look and see. I'm gonna save real quick because we're starting to get a little deeper in here, so I don't want to lose the stuff we got going on. Let's take a look. That's kind of cool. One more look here. And you know what? It's cool. This is one of those situations. So if you look right here, on this portion of the video right here, we don't have the main audio track from our rear camera. And I cut it off and it only starts here, but it gives kind of a cool effect. If you listen right here, oh, hold on. There, listen right here. You hear that? It kind of, I don't want that to move. So it gives it kind of like that natural feel. So we got the backbeat going, but at the same time, like the hook set has that, you hear that braid kind of suck up real quick and it stops when it hits the fish. So that's kind of cool. We're going to go with that. All right, so we got that hook set and we're looking at about like 7 seconds. So we're almost 50% through the amount of time that we can use. We're a little less than 50%. So where do we want to stop and cut to something else? Let's take a look in more real time with a RAM render. Like right there. Part of that was like me feeling the beat right there, and part of that was it just had the right. As you do this more and more, you'll start to see certain like movements that indicate that something needs to stop or transition or change, and it's something that's different from person to person because it's a, I guess for lack of a better word, it's a style thing. So I just got the impression that that's where that needs to stop and transition. We'll see if I'm right as we move forward. So we got that hook set. I wonder if I want to, let's go ahead and move this stuff out a little and give us some room to work with. I kind of want to take just that hook set, but on this side view, and I want to do it in like a little more slow motion, if I can find it. I think it would be right there. Right there. So I just basically what I did right here is I looked at the clip. This is actually muted right now, which means it's not going to show up. But I looked at that clip. I cut a little piece out of it, and I'm going to put that little piece right next to it, and I'm going to slow it down by hitting Control and dragging it out. Let's take a look at what we got thus far. I'm going to save here. I don't know how I feel about that. It's kind of cool, but at the same time, it's not that cool. It's funny, you get into a situation where it's like, yeah, but no. Yeah, but no. Let's I dragged it out a little bit more. I don't want to make it all about the hook set though, because it's not about the hook set. It's about the fish. So kind of in the back of your head, you need to be thinking about, you know, what's the narrative of the video? What's the theme of the video? And what are you trying to render? Like my thing is what I'm always trying in the back of my head to do is I'm trying to render the experience of like why I love being out there and why I get so jacked up. And it's about catching the fish. It's like the process of, you know, finding the fish and then the hook set and landing the fish and putting them back and doing it all over again. And just trying to capture all that experience using the tools that we have in this editor. So let's see if that improves at all. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and make some changes. Yeah, I really don't like that. So we're going to delete this clip, which we just slow mode because it's not that cool. And let's take a look at what else we have right here. So I got 3 camera angles. And, ooh, what do we have here? A fish with, wow. All right. I think I just found what we're going to be screwing around with here. Let's take a look for a second. So we got this fish like bulldogging around. How long does this last? So the fish is swimming back, does like an awesome kick. Boom. And then jumps and comes back. Wow, that's freaking cool. All right. I think I'm kind of running out of time here. Let's try. All right. Let me get that fish kick. So we're going to split that right there. We're going to find the end of it. Boom, the jump. Bang. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to keep it coming. That needs to come out. All right. You see how the fish kind of leaves the frame of view? So I want to cut this section of the video right as that fish is leaving. I'm going to take this clip and I'm going to put it back next to here. It looks like that puts us at about 10 seconds. Let's see what this looks like here. I wish I had the sound synced up. I wonder if I bring this back. Let's see. Let's take a look here and see what we got. You guys got any questions as we're working through here? I might take a break in just a second and we can do a little chat and figure out where we're at here. That's pretty cool. That's all right. So we're good there. That's really cool. So the fish is jumping back and forth. So we're at, what are we at here? That's 10 seconds. So I saw an awesome little cut right here, and I think this is what's going to close it out right here. So if you look, so I'm bending down to grab this fish, and the Joker goes absolutely AWOL. And I think it would be really cool to get this in like slow motion as she goes like that. See that? That was freaking cool. So we don't have much time left to play with it. So we got to be kind of, see what we got here. I'm going to drag that over. Oops. Our marker went and moved on me. All right. So we're going to slow-mo that. So basically what we just did is I have a chest cam. So we have this rear view video cam, and we cut to the chest cam, and the fish does an awesome little kick right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut to when the fish comes right up next to the boat and does this crazy jump across. That's going to look cool. We made that pretty much like slow motion. And let's take a look and see if that's going to be viable for what we're looking to do here. Once again, we're using the RAM render to get a better idea of what it's really going to look like. Okay, I like that. That's pretty freaking cool. So we have approximately, you can see we have like, what is it? Basically 1.33 seconds left, like 1 1/3 seconds left. So I think what I want to do here is I want to go ahead and jump to releasing the fish, or maybe showing the fish off. I don't know what I have at the end of this clip, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look right here and see what we got. So this is, oh, that's kind of neat. Let's see what this looks like. I think we just found the end of our video right there, gentlemen. And she's going. All right, so basically, I just found on camera 2, I had an underwater release of the fish right there, and I'm liking the way that looks. I'm going to see if it fits in the amount of time that we have left, and go from there. It looks like it might be a little bit long, but we're going to overlap it a little and, excuse me, and see what happens. All right, let's take a look at our product here. You hear Donnie in the background going, big one, big one. That's freaking cool, dude. I like what we got, man. This one's going a lot faster than the first one. So here's what we're going to do. I want you guys to take a look at this screen. I'm going to clean this screen up. Give me just a second. I'm going to get rid of all these extra clips that we're not actually using. I'm going to clean this screen up. I'm going to remove a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to let you take a look at it, and we're going to take a pause. I'm going to switch the video webcam back onto me, and we're going to go through if you guys have any quick questions. Basically, to kind of give you an FYI as to where we're going, right now we're at the point where we've organized all of our clips. We've organized our music soundtrack. We're good with how it's set up. So we have that formatting part done. The next step that we're going to do is we're actually going to do the video effects, or like the editing, the way the colors look, the way, like the style part of it on the aesthetic end, the appearance end. But before we do that, take a look at how this is laid out. What you have, just to walk through really quickly, it doesn't all fit on there. We have an intro clip right here. This is a stock shot of the Everglades Holiday Park. It's the airboats. That stock shot goes to camera 2, which is on the gunnel, and this is in fast forward right here. We have it sped up because we have a limited amount of time to work with. So that clip is sped up. We then cut to this camera right here. We've muted this track and muted this track. And we cut to the rear camera. You can see the audio from that camera is enabled and on. That's in regular speed. So we have that cut, hook set with some sound. Then we cut to our chest cam mount, which is right here. The fish kick and splashes around. We then cut a little ahead to, once again, the chest cam. And this is actually in slow motion, as you can tell by these bands. It appears a little different depending on what editor you're working with, but usually there's some kind of symbol that shows you that the video is sped up or slowed down. So we have the little fish jump right next to the boat, which is pretty awesome. And then we cut back to our gunnel cam, which is cam 2 right here, and that is an underwater fish release. One thing I am going to do is I'm going to drag this audio back though, because this, even though you can't see this bottom track video, this audio is on. So I want to cut that out, and I'm actually going to just fade it a little. Let's take a look real quick, and then I'm going to turn on the webcam, and let's have a quick conversation, and then we're going to move forward with the video FX part. Guys, if you have questions, start writing them in the comment box, please. All right, cool. Awesome. So we're going to save. And I know we're not in real time, so there's going to be a slight pause here. But if you guys have any questions at this point about the process that we used, about how things are laid out, throw them into the comment box. I'm going to wait. It's 7:43 right now. I'm going to wait 2 minutes until 7:45 to see if there's some questions that show up or any kind of general stuff that you're wondering about. I think that should cover for the time delay that we have going. So we're going to take a pause here for 2 minutes till 7:45. It might not be 7:45 when you're seeing the video, but 2 minutes after you see me start this. Write your comments or your questions in the comment box, and I'll try to address any questions that you have going forward thus far. So we're going to in pause here and see if you guys have any questions. I'm going to drink some water and shut off for a second. All right, guys, I'm not seeing any questions. I don't want to waste your time with watching me sit around in that. If you do have some questions, pop them into the box. We're going to go ahead and get back to work. What we're doing now, like I mentioned, we went through our formatting process. We basically did the cuts of the video. We selected the video tracks we wanted to use, the different camera angles. We selected some stock footage that we wanted to use. We laid it out right here. We did our cuts and pulled what clips or what cuts we wanted from those video angles. And we're laid out, we're set up with our overall format. Now the step that we're going to move towards is sort of like the pretty step. And that step involves using video effects, as they're called. And that's basically different ways to modify the way the video appears. Color, brightness, gain, gamma. There's a wide variety of functions. We're going to stay pretty simple right here and use some very basic corrections. But let's go ahead and get back to work. Like I said, if you have any questions about the first part of the session or going forward, pop them in the comment box. It's nice to know that people are here, so feel free to pop some stuff in there. But we're going to get back to work, so I'm not wasting your time. So we're going to get back to our screen share. As of right now, we have this, which is pretty cool. So the first thing we're going to do, I go in a very first come, first serve fashion. So we have our stock clip right here. The first, basically, I mentioned this in the first 15-second fish catch vid that we did, or live stream that we did. There are two principal video effects that I use or that you want to use when you're doing any kind of editing. And these are your most basic ground level, and they'll do a bunch of stuff for you, and they'll save you and fix a lot of stuff. The first one is brightness and contrast. So I'm going to go ahead and drop brightness and contrast on that track. It's going to pop up a dialog box. The dialog boxes vary from editor to editor, but in general, they have the same functionality. You have bars where you can adjust and tweak the way things appear, and then you'll see how those tweaks appear in the preview. So I'm gonna throw a little contrast on there. I'm gonna pull back the contrast center. I don't think Adobe has a contrast center because I like it a little bit lighter, just like that. And the other big video effects that you're going to be using, it has a few different names depending on what you're using, is color corrector. Color corrector is awesome and powerful. On Vegas, it appears like this, which is slightly different than other editors. But in general, you're going to find a gamma correction, a gain correction, an offset correction. Let's take a look at what these do. Hey man, what? Thanks for joining. This is Sony Vegas, but what we're doing is basically we're using effects that you'll find in any editor. They might appear slightly different, but their functionality is going to work the exact same, and they're going to do some of the same things to the video. So this is Sony Vegas, Carolina Greenhead, who just jumped in. But the functionality and the effects that we're using apply across the board. All right, so gamma and gain, you can see they add a whitewash to the video. Kind of like the way that gamma's pulling that video, so we're going to leave that. The gain tends to bring like a white out to the video. It accentuates whatever your highest light source is. I'm going to bring that back because I don't like that. Offset kind of adds like a white wash to the video. It's got kind of a cool feel to it, so we're going to leave that just a little bit up. Now, I see something that I want to do. This is a little beyond the basic stuff, but it's something that I want to do, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to throw a color curve in there. And basically, color curve plays with how you accentuate what you're seeing on the color spectrum. I'm going to give this kind of, I'm going to try to give it kind of an antique feel. Just to start with software and how many cams you use. Dirk, we are using Sony Vegas right here. As I just mentioned though, we're using some video effects functions and some functions in Sony Vegas that are available in any editor, any nonlinear editor that you want to use. And camera-wise, we have 3 camera angles right here, and we also have 1 video track with a stock shot. We're going to leave this just like this. Guys who just got here, just a quick refresh. Right here we have our video tracks. This is our stock shot video track on our intro. This is cam 1, cam 2, and cam 3. At this point, we've already gone through the process to do all our cutting and our formatting of how the video is going to lay out. Right now, we're on step 2. Basically, what we're doing is we're adding video effects and aesthetic features like tweaking the color, tweaking the appearance of the videos. If you guys want to check out the first portion of the live stream, that will have all the cutting and the video layout and formatting along those lines. All right, so what do we got? That looks kind of funky and fun and old school. We're gonna go with that. I'll throw a little sharpen on there just as just kind of give it an antique-y kind of feel. You know what else we're gonna do? I didn't mean to get all crazy with this, but I want it to flicker. I think it'd be kind of cool if it flickered. Let's take a look and see what our intro looks like. If I like that. We're going to let it and move forward. We might come back to this and make a little tweak. All right, so we have our video effects, we have our color changes and our tweaks on our intro little stock shot track. We're going to move to our next portion of video, This is the secondary cam that's on the gunnel, and this is the one that we sped up super fast. So let's take a look at what it looks like and figure out what we want to do with it right here. All right, so first thing that we're going to do is go ahead and, as I mentioned, we're going to use our brightness and contrast, and we're going to drop that onto this track. And we're going to do some basic, just correction of the way it appears. Turn up the contrast, maybe lighten it up just a hair, maybe turn down the contrast just a little bit. And then we're going to jump to our color corrector. We're going to drop that on the track. Vegas works a little bit different. Let me just show you something real quick. As you can see, I'm dragging these functions and dropping them onto the tracks. If you're using Adobe Premiere or you're using iMovie or Final Cut, these editors, what you need to do is, I believe on Final Cut, I know on Adobe, you actually have to drop the effects directly onto the clip that you're working with. The fun thing, or the nice part about Vegas, is when I drop it on this track, it applies those changes to every single video I have on that track. Because I'm going to be able to find a good use for color correcting these types of videos. That's just me. I love using color correction functions. You know what, man? Color curve has its moments. The thing that you always have to remember, this was a really good question. So he asked, I use iMovie. I've yet to find, let me switch up real quick. So somebody just asked, I use iMovie. I've yet to find a good use for color curve in these types of videos. And that's just me. Love using the color correction functions. So here's the deal. When it comes to brightness and contrast and color correction, or whatever it's called in your function, what I found is that these effects enhance and preserve the natural feel of the video. You know, in the end, the video still seems very natural. It doesn't come across as hyper edited or anything like that. The moment you start dealing with a whole bunch of video effects, you have the tendency to travel into this realm where everything gets very production, very edited feeling, which is cool. I mean, I do a lot of it, you know, but you have to watch it because some functions, they just jump into that really fast. Color curve is a very good example of that. If you put some kind of film filter on your tracks, you get to a point real quick where you have very edited looking content. So one thing that you need to really think about when you're going into these videos is, what's your goal? You know, my goal right here is I wanted to mix some tracks. I have 15 seconds, and I was going to play around and show off just basic brightness, contrast, color corrector, and some speed variations. But it's important to have a basic goal going into doing some editing. You don't want to have too many rules because it limits what you're actually going to do from a creative standpoint. But go in with some basic goals. What are you trying to get? Well, right here, we're trying to get a basic 15-second fish catch video. So it's just something to keep in mind, and it'll help you to work through formatting, how you lay out your video angles, your video stock footage, and it'll also help you when you're working with your video effects. How much effects do you want on there? Do you want it to appear very processed, or do you want it to appear very natural? So let's get back to work here. All right, so the process we're at right now is we just corrected some of the brightness and contrast right here. We're also going to do the color correction on here. Once again, we're going to lighten it up just a hair. Saturation is probably pretty good. I don't know if I want to, yeah, we're not going to screw around with the offset. Now, in this situation, I often find when you have, for instance, this is fast forwarded. When you have stuff where you fast forward and do slow motion, I like to add like a color change to it that indicates that, you know, time is moving outside of the normal realistic movement. So let's take a look. So what I think I want to do here is I want to do some color change, you know, and you know, Dirk just mentioned color curve, or I'm sorry, Carolina Green had mentioned color curve. Yes, it's very easy to go down the wormhole with yeah, it's definitely, all of a sudden, you know, it's a really good point, Dirk. Like, you can get over edited very quickly, but at the same time, like, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, like, it's a part of the process. Sometimes that comes out as something really cool and a great product. So don't, you know, like I said, set up a goal. Don't set up too many rules, because rules end up screwing you. Goals end up directing you. So basically, I want to, I'm going to grab that color curve, and there's one color curve that's kind of fun, and it's called Brighten Brights. It's a preset. I'm going to drop that onto here, and it kind of gives it a weird sort of iridescent feel if you get it right. Something like that. Let's take a look at how that looks. Now, this is a great example. Now, this looks hyper freaking edited, dude. Like, it looks processed. But at the same time, as I mentioned, like, I sped this video up. It's outside realistic time passing, so I want it to sort of have a different aesthetic feel than the rest of the clip. That's kind of cool. We're going to go with that, but I want something to sort of break up the color just a little bit. Let's throw... Basically, I just mentioned that film effect, so I'm going to throw a little film effect on there with some scratches and just kind of take a look at how it comes off. It might be a little over the top, so I'm going to watch it with the beginning clip that we have. I'm going to RAM render it, and we'll just see how it looks. I got a feeling that we're going to get rid of it, but just wanted to take a look and see. I mean, the only way to find something out is to experiment with it. It's ironic how much like fishing video editing can be. Okay, I actually kind of like that, but it's a little over the top with how much I did. So I'm going to just calm down the grain a little bit. I'm going to leave a little bit of grain on there. I'm going to calm down the flicker just a little more because that's too much. And I'm also going to calm down the amount of scratches, and I think we'll be a lot closer to where we want to be. I'm also, as I look back at this, I hate that stupid flicker on there. So we're going to take that off too. So let's take a look. I'm going to save because we're already getting a little deeper in the wormhole. Let's take a look at what we got. Am I able to make it full screen? I think I can make it a little bigger for you. Give me just a second as I RAM render this, and I'll see what I can do for making it a little bigger. Yeah, I like that. All right, so let's see if we can make this thing a little bit bigger for you. Is that a little bit better for you guys? I increased the size of the preview. It should have a little more value on the screen. That's a good suggestion, man. I didn't think about making the preview bigger. That's good. Let's go ahead and re-RAM render this and take another look with that bigger preview screen. Yeah, I like that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move forward with that. Might not be perfect, but we're going to see where it goes. So basically, we have our fast-forwarded clip. And once we get through that, we cut to the rear camera. Once again, we're going to follow our normal process or our templated process. Here's the clip we're working with right here. I'm going to go find my brightness and contrast. I'm going to drop that onto the track, actually onto the video track. We have our dialog window. We're going to work through it. It shouldn't take too much to correct this. We're going to crank the contrast a hair, and then lighten up the contrast center. And then we are going to do our color corrector. Uh-oh. Sorry. And let's take a look at our gamma. Just need a little bit of gamma, not too much. All right, and we're also going to correct the gain a little. Yeah, the gain's not going to go anywhere. We have too much white possibility in there. Offset, not how much I like that either. I think we're going to kind of let it as is, maybe one click. All right, so where are we at here? Got kind of our rough, and then we're going to, all right. Let's take a look at what we got. you know, guys, a lot of it is about finding a flow as you go through the process. So you can see with just a 15-second video, I'm RAM rendering a lot. I'm doing a lot of preview action. It's what ends up taking a lot of time because it's very difficult unless you have a super high-powered computer to preview these videos in the way they're actually going to look. So let's take a look. That's kind of cool. I like that. I'm wondering if there's some kind of color issue here though, because something's not clicking for me. I think I'm just going to sharpen it a little bit. It's just not picking up as nice as I wanted it to. See if that makes it pop a little bit more. It kind of does. We're going to see if that works and then just kind of move forward. iMovie doesn't use Gamma. What is it? All right, man. I'm not a professional, so I don't know what Gamma actually is. We can take a look right here real quick and play around with it. Gamma, it basically, it does like a, I think it picks up on some kind of lightness. You can see I just turned up the Gamma. I don't know. Gain really focuses on that light source, but I don't know if Gamma just, I don't know. All I know is that it lightens it, and you can see the process right there, but it doesn't whitewash the entire vid. So we're gonna actually turn that back to where it was. I think it was up a few clicks though. Yeah, right there. See how it kind of brings out like a slight lightness amongst the chop in the water right there. All right, so we're at a good point to save, guys, because like I said, we put all this time in. We're an hour deep already, and we don't want to lose our work. So that was our rear video kind of section. Now we're cutting back to our chest cam. I can see right away because of the blurriness of this, I'm going to want to sharpen it just a little bit. That helps a little, not great. We're going to follow our same process though. We're going to grab our brightness and contrast, and we're going to do our brightness and contrast correction right here. There we go. Oftentimes what you guys want to do though is your preview will be like a picture. It'll only be on one frame of the video. So sometimes if you don't know if you have it just right, you might want to hop around your scroll or your marker so that you're taking a look at how this effect right here affects not just what you're looking at that very moment, but how it affects the entirety of the clip. Because as that camera shifts, you can see you get a very bright light kind of section right there. So we might have to separate that. It looks like it's pretty good though for this section of the clip. So we may just, I think we're gonna go with it right there. We're gonna do a color corrector on there. And maybe just a touch of Gamma. Yeah, I don't like that. All right, I think, yeah, turn off saturation just a hair. All right, so let's take a look at where we're at now. We're flying through it. So this is the clip that we're RAM rendering. This is the one we just did the brightness and contrast and color corrections on. It's kind of choppy because it is a chest cam perspective, but at the same time, as you play the video, it's a little bit smoother. It's not going to be perfect though. I kind of like that. We're in a good place right now. So that was the chest cam camera angle, and the next cut shot is this fish just dancing next to the boat in super slow-mo. Now, this clip is actually under the same effects because we did track entire effects. Basically, the effects we did on this clip right here are the same ones that apply here because we did them for the entire track. So in this situation, let's take a look at what it looks like in reality, because I don't know if it's actually going to fit that clip. Isn't that bad? You might need to make like an adjustment or two here. But let's take a look. Okay. That isn't that bad. I kind of want to do something to it, and I'm not sure what it is, though. Definitely not that. Let's take a look at that color curve again. Sometimes, I mentioned like themes and goals. You know, oftentimes if you start using a few, like a few specific FX in a video, it's cool. You don't want to overuse them, but at the same time, there's something to be said for using some of the same effects to give some of the same feels, so it creates an overall theme or an overall continuity through the video. Now, granted, this is only a 15-second video, so it's not like this huge narrative of a video, but you know, it's worth just keeping that in the back of your mind. So let's take a look at how Bright and Brights works on this. That might be kind of fun, but we're going to have to tweak it. Let's take a look at, I'm going to save here. Let's take a look at how that plays into the entire clip that we're working with. This is going to take just a second. I'm kind of liking this. It's very hard lines and very strong colors, but we set that tone with some of the, like the opening clip right here where we yellowed it out, as well as the fast forward. Let's take a look. Kind of like that. We're gonna go with it. It's something a little different. I think what we are gonna do though really quickly is we might just soften it just a hair. Don't want to totally lose the fish. I want the effect to be strong, but I don't want to totally lose. Like I said, the main focus to me is the catching the fish. So let's take another real quick look. Yeah, I softened the effect just a little bit, and I think that's going to be more of the ticket right there. So we're almost there, guys. Let's take a look. I like that. That's cool. All right, we're going with that. All right, so we're on to our last clip, and basically this is a cut back to camera 2, and we have the fish underwater being released. Now, this clip, much like this clip, is governed by track-wide effects. So all these effects that we put on that first clip, since we applied them to the track, apply to this clip. Obviously, though, in order to pronounce that fish and to make sure that you can see it, we're going to need to tweak it a little bit. Not exactly sure what we're going to do here. One trick that I've done with underwater stuff is unsharp mask. It over accentuates some of the lines. However, sometimes it can be not so good. It really depends. And I think we may just play around. We're going to put a secondary color corrector on there and play around with some of the brightnesses. All right, let's take a look and see just how that individual clip looks. It's giving kind of a classic movie type feel. Nice. Cool, I'm glad you dig it. I mean, the thing is, man, like the way I approach it, like you said, like if you set like a goal, like my goal is to make a pretty basic 15-second fish catch video, you know, as long as you leave it open-ended, sometimes you're going to fail. Like you just have to accept that. Like it's going to suck and you're going to be like, dude, I should have just stopped. But at the same time, if you leave it open-ended, you can end up with a product that's very unique and it can go in a direction that you never thought it would go. But it's really important to kind of stay open. You know, focus on your goals, but stay open. Let's take a look where we're at. Okay, I like that because the fish, in the end, I wanted to come back to more of a natural feel. And you can see with the effects that we added to this video and the little tweaks we made, it does highlight the shape of the fish. I don't use a super high-end GoPro. This is just a GoPro Silver, and it's shooting at 960. So it's not like super duper like great video. So you got to make the best of what you got. And I kind of like where we're at. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to save. We're going to ram render this entire thing. And let's take a look at the product we have and see if we're good with it. All right. I don't know about you guys, but I like where it's at. Like, this is kind of what I was going for. Something simple, but it's got a few effects on it. It's got a little bit of a processed feel at certain points. At other points, it's very natural. And we've integrated, excuse me for a sec. We've integrated a stock shot. We've integrated, I'm going to reduce your preview real quick here. We've integrated a stock shot right here. We have our 3 camera angles right here, and we've done all the cuts on those. We got kind of a good feel, and we have our soundtrack right here. I like kind of how it flows together. It's decent, and I think we're going to go with it. Now, keep in mind, it's kind of interesting to think about. We just did, in an hour and 12 minutes, 15 seconds of video. That's not that long. That's like a drop in the puddle. So as you can see, the process, which you have to allot time for, and you can't get frustrated with, it takes some time. So here's what I'm going to do. This is only going to take about 5 minutes to render. I'm going to go ahead and render it and just take a pause for a second. Guys, like I said, there's going to be a delay in the camera. I'm going to take this pause. As we're rendering, go ahead and write any kind of questions that you have in the comment box. We're going to go ahead and we're going to switch back. We're going to have a little dialogue, a little forum, talk about any questions that you have, and then we're going to wrap it up for the night. So render process. For Instagram, what I do is the following. I render in, it's a template, it's Internet HD 1080p. Basically, this template, like I said, it correlates with the properties of my program. The size is going to be 1920 by 1080, as you can see. These are all other spec things. I'm not going through all that because I don't know half of it. But here's the deal. As I mentioned, this is a 1080 or a 1920 by 1080 frame right up here. When you upload a video to Instagram, Instagram has a square aspect ratio. So it ends up being just something like this. Like the sides of this are going to be cut off. So basically, by rendering in 1080, I'm going to end up having to crop out the center of the video. But since we didn't modify our video clips, let me go back real quick. We had some video clips that I shot in 960. This is a good example right here. And as you can see, let me drag this down, give you a better idea. You can see that when you shoot in 960, you get a more square aspect ratio. It doesn't fill the whole 1080, the whole 1920 by 1080 box. So basically, when we upload this to Instagram, those videos that aren't shot in 1080 are going to fit a lot better because they have that square aspect ratio. And Instagram will be a cut something like this, where we're going to lose just a little bit of the sides right here. This is the way I approach it. Other guys are simply going to go ahead and create and render their videos already in that square shape. For me, this is a more streamlined approach. It's more efficient. I don't have to go through all the figuring out how to size things so that they're squared up aspect ratios. Also, when rendering video, Sony Vegas specifically has issues with rendering some of the square stuff. I've had it crash quite a few times. So I don't have a problem with the way it comes out when I do it the way I do it, and it works for me. If you want to do stuff in more square aspect ratios and have them export or render like that, be my guest. But this is the process I use. So like I said, I'm going to render this. I'm going to render it at my 1080, my 1920 by 1080 settings. And we're going to take a break for about 2 minutes. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the comment box. I will be back in 2 minutes to address any kind of questions that you have. Otherwise, we will wrap up in about 5-10 minutes. All right, guys. As of now, I don't see any question in the box. Do you guys have any questions about the process that we went through? Any questions about the effects? I have fit, which relates to iMovie, but what I use mainly because I am on a PC is Adobe Premiere, Sony Vegas, and I have used a little bit of not iMovie, Windows Movie Maker Live back in the day I did. But any questions, anything that you're wondering about, any parts of the process, anything that you specifically are working on that you might have some questions that I might be able to help with, I am all ears for the next 5 minutes. Less than 5 minutes, like 4 minutes. If nobody asks something, I'm out of here as soon as we get this final product done. Here's the part where I messed up on WMM. Seems like when I set it for YouTube Ready, it ends up jumping. Jake, that's a great point. Here's the deal, man. You know, a lot of these video editors have all these friendly functions that are supposed to make life a lot better and help you in the process and streamline the process. I'm a little bit old school when it comes to this. I don't want help when it comes to the video. I don't want a direct upload from my software, from my application like Sony Vegas or Adobe directly to YouTube. There's 2 reasons for that. One, like I said, I don't want this interacting with my YouTube. It's another thing that can screw up or create an issue. 2, I want to actually have, like what we created right here. I'm going to go ahead. Basically, let me show you something. So what I have right here is I actually have like the clip. Let me, yeah, I want to, give me just a second, guys. All right, so getting back to the points, let me share my screen real quick so you can take a look. Basically, what I want, and the reason I don't do anything like allowing the editor directly upload, is this is the clip we just rendered, 15-second demo. I want to have that as an archive. I'm actually going to save that on a hard drive and stash it away. This allows me to do 2 things. One, it allows me to choose the settings that I want to render the video at. I'm going to render in a little bit higher quality, but at the same time somewhat compressed for YouTube. I'm not going to let YouTube or the editor decide how much compression or what kind of format / sizing, etc., that it's going to export at. And it takes a little bit of experimentation. Your best bet is an MP4 or a .mov if you're using something like Final Cut. But my recommendation is I wouldn't use that quick to YouTube function. I'd render it or export it to your computer and then directly upload it. It gives you more control over both the settings as well as your YouTube channel. What do we got? Seen that jumping is foreign YouTube videos. Interesting to know what causes that. You know, man, I don't know if that's actually what causes it. Sometimes what you have is you have different codecs or different video, what do you call it, different video formats. I've seen a video format, I think it's MV2 or something, and that one tweaks, especially when you put it in Adobe Premiere. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but there's different video formats, especially with everybody with different phones and all that. It becomes kind of a mess. It's a nice question. Mike, do you not use the color? So somebody asked, do you not use the color saturation function at all? I have to watch myself because I tend to overuse it like vibrant colors. I am just like you, man. I love vibrant colors. I love high contrast. My girl actually makes fun of me quite a bit because she says that I over contrast videos. You know, it's one of those things where, like I said, you have to set some goals and then you work and you don't set too many rules. But obviously you're aware of the fact that you might be overusing that saturation function, so tone it down. I do use it quite a bit in various contexts. One context that I know that I use it a lot of times is when you have cloudier weather. I'm sitting here talking to the camera and it's not even on. One of the times that I actually use the saturation function a lot is when you have cloudier weather. Let's we'll bring it up real quick. What saturation actually does is it'll really kind of like strengthen your reds, your yellows, your warmer colors. And you know, when you have cloudier days, you lose some of the dimensionality of those colors, of your warmer colors, and you can use saturation to bring those out. All right, let's just do a real quick example here, just to show you what saturation does to a track, so we're all on the same page with what we're talking about. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so we are... All right, so as you can see, we have our preview right here. I'm going to make it gigantic. So saturation, when you take it all the way out, removes all color from the clip. That's actually kind of cool. That's probably what we should have done to the clip. Now I'm kind of frustrated. I think I'm going to leave it like that. All right, but then when you turn it all the way up, you can see it puts a very hard line of color and, you know, saturates your yellows and your warmer colors. You know, it depends on your taste. That's actually kind of cool too. Now we're going to go and re-edit the whole freaking thing, because I can't make a decision on what I want. Any other questions, guys? It's kind of fun. Might do not use. Any other questions that that jump into your mind as we go through this process? Anything that regarding editing, regarding the process that we went through? Otherwise, I think I'm going to wrap it up, but I'll give you guys like 1 or 2 minutes here to wrap up with any questions. And I think I'm also going to change this video as we go through here. I like the way it looked when we killed the... See, that's what I'm talking about with how accidents happen. So we just were having a conversation. I'm screwing around with these bars, and I like how this came out with a sort of sepia or a brown feel to it. And I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the entire video. Indecision, man. Indecision. That's cool. I don't know if I like it though. More with it. Looks like I'm going to be staying up late and screwing around and stuff. Well, guys, if that's all that you got, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the finished product of what we have. I'm going to upload it to YouTube. It should be up there in about half an hour, 45 minutes. If you guys enjoyed the stream, definitely tell your friends about it. You know, I don't make a lot of money doing stuff, but it's nice to get a little check for ads and that from YouTube every once in a while. So the more you spread the word about the vids on a grassroots level, the more I can take advantage of that, and the more stuff like this we can do, which I enjoy doing. I hope it helps you out in the processes that you're going through. Like I said, in the end, man, I started doing this stuff because I wanted to capture that moment and that information about fishing while I was out there. I started as like a video fishing log, and I love capturing video. I love being out on the water, and this is a great platform and a great way for me to integrate both those things. All I'm trying to do is sort of render that experience that brings us back to the water all the time, man. I mean, we always want to be out there. I don't know about you, but I do, and I love capturing videos of those moments that draw us out there. So spread the word. Tell your boys to subscribe, follow. There should be a replay of this up on my YouTube channel in probably like 25 minutes or so. And I think we'll be good to go. So enjoy it. Final product up in a minute. Thank you guys for tuning in. Tell your boys, tell your friends, spread the word, and tight lines. If you guys have any questions, hit me up on YouTube, Facebook, whatever. I'll try to help out. Or if you have suggestions or anything like that, or if you think I'm doing something stupid, let me know about that too. Tight lines, guys. Have yourselves a great night, all right?